Have you ever felt that tonight could change your life? That a silent whisper from the universe is saying, you will receive abundance tonight. Pause for a moment, for that whisper is not outside you, it is your own imagination speaking. Welcome, my friends. Tonight, we step into the mystery of the unseen, where imagination becomes the bridge between desire and reality, and where the universe says you will receive abundance tonight. The world you see is only a reflection of the world you feel within. There is a silent power moving through every heartbeat of existence, a creative intelligence that fashions worlds from thought, forms galaxies from vibration, and brings forth every experience you call your life. This power does not lie somewhere in the stars, it rests within your own consciousness. When you imagine, you are not daydreaming idly, you are commanding creation itself. Imagination is not a child's game, it is the blueprint of reality. Every vision you hold, every feeling you sustain, is the universe in action through you. When one first hears that imagination is the creative force, the mind resists. It prefers to believe in the evidence of the senses, the weight of facts, the appearance of things. Yet the secret known to the awakened is this: the outer world is nothing more than the shadow cast by your inner assumptions. You are forever painting reality with the brush of imagination. Whether you do so consciously or unconsciously, the canvas of life obeys the picture you persist in seeing. You think you are reacting to circumstances, but circumstances are reacting to you. The images you nurture within, those quiet inner pictures born of belief and feeling, are transmitted through the invisible fabric of consciousness, and life, being obedient, shapes itself to mirror them. This is not philosophy, it is law. It is the unseen mechanism by which all manifestation occurs. The world you perceive is imagination solidified, imagination objectified, imagination made flesh. Consider how effortlessly this law operates. You imagine failure and soon you find evidence of it. You imagine rejection and rejection greets you. You imagine abundance and the doors of opportunity begin to open. The imagination does not discriminate between good or bad, possible or impossible. It simply creates according to the pattern of your belief. The universe takes the vibration of your inner image as instruction and molds itself to fit it perfectly. It is like a mirror that never lies. What you place before it in consciousness, it returns in form. Yet imagination is not merely visualization. It is a living energy that requires your feeling. You must clothe the thought with emotion, breathe life into it with conviction. A cold picture cannot move the universe, but a picture warmed by belief becomes magnetic. The feeling of reality is the creative key. When you imagine something and feel it as already true, the universe bends to make it so. This is the sacred marriage of thought and feeling, the union that gives birth to manifestation. Many imagine passively, letting their minds drift upon the waves of circumstance. But the wise imagine deliberately. They close their eyes to the outer world and open the inner eye, constructing scenes that imply the fulfillment of their desires. They do not hope for these scenes to come true. They know that by imagining them vividly and consistently, they are planting seeds in the soil of eternity. The harvest may take hours, days, or weeks, but it must come, for the law cannot be broken. Think of the great discoveries of humanity. The airplane, the telephone, the electric light. Each began not with tools or machines, but with imagination. Someone dared to see what was not yet visible, to believe what logic called impossible. They saw the world not as it was, but as it could be. That inner vision became the outer reality. And so it is with every individual life. The universe does not decide who shall prosper and who shall fail. It responds impersonally to the images impressed upon it. When you understand this, you cease to live as a victim of chance. You realize that you are not at the mercy of fate, but the author of it. The same energy that creates a star is the energy that flows through your imagination. The moment you imagine a new self, confident, abundant, fulfilled, you set that power in motion. If you persist in that image, refusing to be swayed by appearances, life must conform. The old self will dissolve, and the new one will emerge exactly as you have pictured it. Some will say, "But how can I imagine abundance when I have none?" The answer is simple. You do not wait for abundance to appear, you feel it into being. You assume the state of wealth in consciousness before it exists in form. You act and think as one who already possesses what they seek. In time, the outer must catch up with the inner, for the inner is the cause and the outer the effect. The world has no choice but to echo your conviction. It is in this understanding that freedom lies. You no longer plead with the universe to bless you. You realize the blessing has already been given in the gift of imagination itself. Every desire that rises within you is not a whim. It is the voice of creation calling you to awaken your power. To imagine is to cooperate with the divine flow. Each thought deliberately chosen, each image lovingly sustained, is an act of creation. So tonight, dare to imagine boldly. Refuse to repeat the pictures of limitation and fear. The moment you change the image within, the universe begins to rearrange itself without. The path will open, the people will appear, the circumstances will align, all in perfect obedience to your inner decree. Imagination is the universe in action through you. You are the channel through which the infinite becomes finite, the unseen becomes seen. Do not underestimate the sacredness of your thoughts. Guard them, guide them, and glorify them, for they are the architects of your destiny. When you close your eyes and imagine the life you desire, you are not escaping reality. You are commanding it. And if tonight you can believe that your imagination is the creative power, if you can dwell in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you will awaken to a new world, one shaped not by circumstance but by consciousness. For that which you imagine with conviction, the universe must express in form. Feeling is the secret language of creation, the sacred vibration through which invisible ideas take on visible form. Thought alone is but a shadow, a blueprint without life. But when thought is infused with feeling, it becomes a living command to the universe. Feeling is the creative force, and nothing appears in your world that you have not first felt as true within yourself. The entire cosmos responds not to words, but to the emotional tone beneath them. It is not what you say that matters, but what you feel as you say it. In every moment, your inner state is speaking to the unseen powers of existence. You may think you are silent, but your feelings are continually broadcasting your assumptions about life. The world you experience is an exact reflection of that emotional frequency. You may declare, "I am wealthy," yet if deep within you there is fear, tension, or disbelief, the creative law hears only the feeling of lack. It is not the statement that manifests, it is the vibration behind the statement. The universe reads the heart, not the lips. Feeling, therefore, is the bridge between imagination and manifestation. It is the golden thread connecting the invisible to the visible. Every desire you hold is a potential reality waiting for emotional acceptance. To feel a thing as already accomplished is to give it birth in the realm of time. To merely wish for it is to keep it forever distant. Desire without feeling is an unplanted seed, an idea with no soil to grow in. But once that desire is felt as real, once the emotional conviction takes hold, the unseen laws begin to rearrange the outer world to match the inner state. Observe your daily life and you will see this principle everywhere. When you feel joyful, you attract joyful encounters. When you feel defeated, the world mirrors defeat. People, events, and circumstances are drawn to you by the emotional magnetism you emit. It is not coincidence, it is correspondence. The inner feeling and the outer experience are two sides of one act. Change the feeling within, and the outer reflection must change accordingly. To master this law, one must learn the art of emotional assumption, the deliberate choice to feel the end result before it is seen. Suppose you desire prosperity. Close your eyes and enter into the scene of fulfillment. Imagine holding the evidence of your wealth, the security, the gratitude, the freedom it brings. But do not merely see it, feel it. Let your body, your breath, your entire being enter into that vibration. When you can feel the satisfaction of your wish fulfilled so vividly that it seems natural, you have impressed the subconscious with the creative pattern. From that moment, manifestation is inevitable. The challenge lies not in imagining, but in sustaining the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The mind drifts easily back to old states, to worry, doubt, and habit. Yet each time you return to the feeling of fulfillment, you are watering the seed. You are reaffirming your faith in the unseen. The subconscious accepts what is repeated with feeling, and it expresses it with exact precision. So persist, not with strain, but with quiet certainty. Let your feeling become your dwelling place. There was once a time when I longed for a great opportunity, but saw none. The outer world was silent, doors seemed closed. Yet inwardly, I began to feel as though the opportunity had already arrived. I rehearsed the emotion of gratitude, the quiet satisfaction of success. Each night before sleep, I entered into that feeling until it felt real. Days later, without effort, an unexpected invitation appeared, one that led directly to the very experience I had inwardly lived. The event was new, but the feeling was familiar. I had already met it in imagination, clothed in emotion, and the world simply conspired to reveal it in form. This is how all creation unfolds. Feeling draws to itself its own likeness. You cannot hold the vibration of joy and attract sorrow, nor dwell in fear and find freedom. The law is impartial, but it is exact. Whatever you inwardly accept as real through feeling will externalize itself. That is why awareness of emotion is power. When you notice yourself anxious or doubtful, you are witnessing creative energy misdirected. The task is not to suppress the feeling, but to transform it, to lift it from fear to faith, from tension to trust. The easiest way to shift feeling is through imagination. Create in your mind a scene that implies your desire is fulfilled, and then feel the emotion that scene would naturally evoke. If it is love you seek, feel cherished. If it is wealth, feel the ease and freedom of abundance. If it is healing, feel the vitality flowing through you now. Persist in that inner mood until it becomes more real than the facts around you. The outer world will then have no choice but to harmonize with your new inner state. Feeling is the key that unlocks every door. It is the creative essence behind all prayer, meditation, and affirmation. Without feeling, these are mere words. With feeling, they are commands to the infinite. You do not need to force the world to change. You need only feel differently about it. The emotion of fulfillment carries within it the pattern of fulfillment. Once felt deeply, it sets in motion the unseen currents that bring your desire to pass. Education in this law begins with self-observation. Each emotion is a clue, revealing the assumptions you live by. When you feel envy, you are affirming lack. When you feel gratitude, you are affirming abundance. When you feel fear, you are affirming separation from your good. Therefore, train yourself to feel only what you wish to experience. This is not denial, it is discipline. You are choosing the state that aligns with your desired outcome. The more consistently you feel that state, the faster reality conforms. The power is always in the present moment, for feeling exists only now. You cannot feel yesterday or tomorrow, only this instant. So in this instant, choose the emotion that belongs to your fulfilled desire. Rest in it, breathe in it, let it become your truth. For the creative force of the universe hears not your words, but your vibration. And when that vibration declares, it is done, the unseen powers move to make it visible. Feeling is the silent architect of destiny, the pulse of creation moving through every thought and dream. Guard it, guide it, and glorify it. For as you feel, so shall you become, and as you become, so shall your world reflect. The law of assumption is divine order in motion. It is the unseen pattern that governs the visible world, the silent rhythm behind every event, circumstance, and transformation. To assume a state is to enter into it consciously, to claim it as your own before the senses confirm it. Every individual, knowingly or unknowingly, lives by this law. You are always assuming something about yourself, about others, and about life, and your assumptions, sustained with feeling, become the framework through which reality must operate. It is often said that life is shaped by action, but deeper still, life is shaped by assumption. Action flows naturally from what you believe yourself to be. You do not act in contradiction to your self-concept, you act in harmony with it. The one who assumes the state of success moves through the world with confidence, sees opportunities, and attracts cooperation. The one who assumes the state of limitation meets obstacles at every turn, not because the world is against him, but because he carries within him the expectation of defeat. The law of assumption makes no moral judgment. It simply returns to you what you assume to be true. To live by this law is to become a conscious creator. The secret lies in the realization that assumption is not mere wishful thinking. It is possession in consciousness. When you assume something, you inwardly accept it as already accomplished. You do not hope it will happen, you feel it has happened. This inner certainty compels the outer world to rearrange itself until your assumption takes form. Everything you see is a crystallized assumption, a thought once accepted as real. Imagine a seed planted in fertile soil. The seed carries within it the pattern of the tree it is destined to become. You do not question whether the seed will grow, you assume it. You water it, nurture it, and wait patiently, knowing the outcome is guaranteed. In the same way, every assumption you hold in mind contains the pattern of its manifestation. The subconscious, like the soil, does not question the seed you plant. It accepts it and brings it forth in due season. The key is to plant deliberately and to persist in the knowing that your assumption is already true. The difficulty for most lies not in making an assumption, but in maintaining it when appearances contradict it. The senses shout the opposite, the facts deny it, and reason protests. Yet this is precisely when faith in the law must be exercised. You must hold the end in consciousness, even when the means are invisible. The assumption, once sustained with feeling, has creative power that cannot fail. The moment you slip into doubt, you uproot the seed. The moment you rest again in the assumption, you restore it to growth. One evening long ago, there was a desire within me that seemed beyond reach. I wanted to travel to a distant place, but every outer condition declared it impossible. The finances were lacking, the timing wrong, and logic said, not now. Yet the desire would not fade, and so I turned inward. I imagined myself there, not as though I would go, but as though I were already there. I felt the air, heard the sounds, saw the scene through my inner eye, and most importantly, I assumed the satisfaction of it being done. I went to sleep in that feeling. Days later, events began to unfold effortlessly. An invitation came, resources appeared, and the outer world rearranged itself to fulfill the assumption I had already claimed in consciousness. This is the order of life. The outer follows the inner. You do not wait for conditions to change before assuming your new state. You assume first, and conditions must change. The law of assumption knows no failure because it is rooted in the very structure of consciousness itself. To assume a new state is to occupy a new level of being, and being always expresses itself. You can no more prevent the manifestation of your dominant assumption than you can prevent a seed from sprouting once it has been planted and watered. Understand that the assumption must be felt. It is not enough to repeat words or hold intellectual ideas. The assumption must become emotionally real to you. When you can say inwardly, "It is done," and feel the quiet confidence of that truth, the work is complete. The world of time simply unfolds the details. It may seem as though things are happening to you, but in truth they are happening through you, in obedience to your assumption. This law operates impersonally. It is as precise as mathematics and as constant as gravity. When you assume the state of health, you set in motion the processes that restore it. When you assume the state of abundance, the channels of supply open. When you assume the state of love, the corresponding relationships appear. You do not need to force or manipulate events. You need only maintain the feeling of your fulfilled assumption and let the unseen intelligence handle the rest. Education in this principle begins with observation. Watch the assumptions that rule your day. Each reaction reveals the state you inhabit. If you are quick to fear, you are assuming weakness. If you are calm in the face of challenge, you are assuming mastery. You cannot hold two contradictory assumptions and expect harmony. Choose one and dwell in it. The world will mirror whichever you persist in the longest. This is divine order, the law that makes chaos impossible once it is understood. There is no injustice in life, only unrecognized assumptions. To change the experience, change the state you assume to be yours. It requires no external permission, only inward acceptance. You do not beg for your desires, you claim them. You do not strive to make them happen. You rest in the knowing that they are already complete. Every act of assumption is an act of creation. Every time you declare something to be true of yourself and feel it as real, you are reshaping the fabric of reality. The universe is not responding to words but to identity. It always reflects who you believe yourself to be. Assume wisely, persist faithfully, and the law will prove itself. For assumption is not fantasy. It is divine order fulfilling itself through you. You are not seeking abundance, you are revealing it. The very act of searching implies that it is lost, distant, or withheld. Yet abundance is never absent. It is the eternal nature of consciousness itself. The wealth you desire, the success you hope to attain, the love you long to receive, all these already exist within the infinite storehouse of your being. What appears as lack is not the absence of supply, but the presence of blindness. The veil of unawareness hides what is eternally yours. To awaken is to see that abundance was never outside you. It was waiting for recognition within. In every age, people have been taught to look outward for prosperity, to chase opportunity, to labor endlessly, to pray to distant powers for favor. But the secret law of life has never changed. Everything visible originates in the invisible. The abundance of the outer world is but the shadow of an inner state. Until that inner state changes, no external gain can bring lasting fulfillment. You may acquire possessions, accumulate wealth, or win applause. But if within you there still lives the assumption of poverty, life will always find a way to echo that inner emptiness. The wise do not seek abundance, they awaken to it. Consider for a moment the nature of sunlight. The sun shines continuously, pouring its warmth and light upon all. Yet one may choose to dwell in the shadow and declare the sun has disappeared. The darkness is not proof of the sun's absence, but evidence of one's position. So it is with abundance. The divine flow never ceases. Only one's focus determines whether they bask in its radiance or remain in the shadow of lack. The law is impartial. It shines on all, but only those who turn toward it receive its warmth. Abundance is not measured by possessions, but by consciousness. The poor man with a rich awareness of life possesses more wealth than the millionaire enslaved by fear. It is not what one has, but what one is that determines the quality of experience. When you recognize yourself as the source rather than the seeker, you shift from dependence to dominion. The outer world becomes the reflection of an inner realization. When you know you are abundance, you no longer chase it. It flows through you naturally, like breath or sunlight. To reveal abundance is to align with your true identity. The infinite is individualized as you, and all its qualities, wisdom, love, creativity, and supply, are present within your consciousness. The moment you stop identifying as one in need and begin identifying as one who already possesses, the channels of expression open. Every time you say, I am lacking, you deny your own divinity. But when you declare, I am supplied, I am supported, I am complete, you are not lying to yourself. You are affirming the truth that has been eternally so. The outer world adjusts to reflect that truth once it is fully accepted within. Imagine a sculptor before a block of marble. To the untrained eye, it appears to be only stone. But to the artist, the finished form already exists within. The sculptor does not create the statue. He reveals it by removing the excess. In the same way, abundance is hidden within your consciousness, waiting to be uncovered. Each doubt, each fear, each belief in limitation is excess stone obscuring the masterpiece. When you chip away the false ideas of lack, the radiant reality of abundance stands revealed. Many confuse abundance with accumulation, but abundance is not the piling up of things. It is the recognition of limitless supply. You can hold little and still feel infinite richness, for abundance is a vibration, not a quantity. When you walk with the feeling of fullness, life mirrors it with generosity. When you walk with the feeling of emptiness, life mirrors it with struggle. The secret is to feel abundant now, before the evidence appears. That feeling is the magnet that draws the form. There was a time when I lived with little and desired more. I thought abundance would come from new work, new circumstances, new fortune. But nothing changed until I stopped striving and began to feel differently. I sat quietly and imagined myself already fulfilled, already possessing all that I needed. I let the feeling of gratitude and sufficiency fill my heart until it overflowed. Soon after, without effort, opportunities unfolded, doors opened, and life mirrored the abundance I had discovered within. The world had not given me wealth, it had reflected it. This principle applies to every area of life. In love, health, creativity, and peace, the outer mirrors the inner. You cannot attract love while feeling unworthy of it, nor can you find success while believing in failure. You must first reveal the abundance of love, success, and vitality that is already alive within you. The world is your mirror, not your master. When you change the image in consciousness, the reflection must change accordingly. Education in this law begins with self-awareness. Notice the inner conversations you carry. When you say, "I cannot afford this," or "I never have enough," you are confirming limitation as your truth. The subconscious mind accepts these statements as orders and reproduces them faithfully. Replace them with declarations of abundance. I am richly supplied. All that I need comes easily and naturally. Say it not with hope but with conviction. The feeling of certainty is the creative element. When your heart agrees with your words, manifestation becomes inevitable. The more you practice this awareness, the more life reveals its generosity. You will begin to notice small coincidences, unexpected gifts, timely opportunities, effortless solutions. These are not miracles, they are natural responses to your new vibration. You are no longer attracting abundance, you are unveiling it. The river was always flowing. You simply stepped into its current. The one who truly understands this lives without fear of loss. They know that abundance is not a possession to be kept, but a flow to be expressed. Just as breathing in requires breathing out, receiving requires giving. The energy of abundance thrives in circulation. When you give freely, not out of obligation, but from the awareness of overflow, you demonstrate your faith in the infinite source within. The more you release, the more returns, for the universe cannot fill a closed hand. You are not a beggar before fate, but a creator expressing divinity. Every moment you affirm your completeness. Every time you feel the richness of being alive, you awaken more of that hidden treasure. The world responds to your self-concept. When you stand as abundance, abundance surrounds you. When you believe you must earn it, life keeps you striving. Abundance is not a goal to reach. It is a reality to recognize. Stop seeking and start seeing. The infinite supply you desire already exists in the depth of your consciousness. To reveal it, you need only lift the veil of doubt and assume the feeling of fulfillment now. The moment you do, the universe, which was never withholding, mirrors your revelation with overflowing evidence of what was true all along. Belief shapes experience. It is not the outer world that determines what a man encounters, but the unseen convictions that live silently within him. Life is not responding to circumstance, it is responding to belief. Every event, every meeting, every rise and fall is the mirror of an inward assumption. A person's reality is the outpicturing of their inner faith, whether they are aware of it or not. Belief is not a casual opinion or a fleeting thought. It is the foundation upon which your world stands. You may change your environment, your companions, your occupation, yet until your beliefs change, the pattern of your experience will repeat itself in new forms, echoing the same essence of the old state. To understand belief is to understand creation itself. Belief is the silent cause behind all visible effect. The world moves in obedience to the deep convictions of the heart. What you truly believe about yourself, others, and life determines the quality of every experience. You may profess love yet secretly believe in rejection, and life will confirm the rejection. You may declare wealth yet inwardly believe in lack, and life will echo the lack. The creative law listens not to words but to belief, for belief is the vibration of consciousness accepted as truth. It is the language the unseen world obeys. Belief is the invisible architecture of destiny. It shapes perception, directs behavior, and magnetizes circumstances. The one who believes they are fortunate sees opportunity where others see failure. The one who believes they are unloved reads indifference into every glance. The same world appears to each, yet what they see is determined by what they believe. The outer scene is neutral until colored by assumption. Belief provides the tint through which reality is viewed, and the mind, ever loyal to its convictions, finds proof to support them. There is no accident in belief. Every belief is self-created and self-sustained. Many say, "I will believe it when I see it." Yet the law of life is the opposite. You will see it when you believe it. Belief precedes appearance. To wait for evidence is to delay creation. The wise understand that inner conviction must come first. Once a belief is established within the subconscious, the outer world rearranges itself to match it with mathematical precision. Belief is not built through effort, but through acceptance. You do not struggle to believe. You simply consent to the reality of the unseen. When you inwardly accept something as true, even without physical proof, you have planted the seed of its manifestation. The subconscious mind does not argue. It receives your feeling of certainty and brings it forth in form. Whether you believe in success or failure, love or loss, the law is the same. The harvest matches the seed. There was a time when I desired change, but did not yet understand this law. I prayed, I hoped, I tried to act differently, but my belief remained the same. I believed that struggle was noble, that lack was my portion, and so life faithfully mirrored that assumption. Nothing changed until one night, in deep reflection, I realized that my outer hardship was not punishment but reflection. I had been living from a belief in limitation. I began to question that belief, to replace it with a new one, that abundance and ease were natural states of being. I repeated this conviction quietly until it took root in feeling. Soon after, without striving, my conditions altered. New opportunities arose, support appeared, and the burden of effort dissolved. The change had begun the moment belief was transformed. Education in this principle demands awareness. Most people believe by default, accepting the opinions of family, society, or circumstance as truth. They allow the outer world to dictate the inner. But belief must be reclaimed consciously. Examine the patterns of your life, and you will discover your beliefs. The recurring experiences are the footprints of your assumptions. If you continually meet rejection, look to the belief that expects it. If you find money scarce, examine the belief that equates worth with struggle. When you identify the false belief and replace it with a true one, life must alter its reflection. To build belief, one must practice inner feeling. The mind may argue, but feeling carries conviction. Imagine your desire fulfilled and feel it as natural. That feeling, repeated and sustained, crystallizes into belief. You may begin with pretense, but persistence transforms pretense into certainty. The subconscious accepts repetition of feeling as fact. This is how faith is trained, not by force but by familiarity. The more you dwell in the emotional reality of your wish, the more it becomes your automatic belief. Belief is not limited to thought. It permeates behavior. What you truly believe will express through your tone, posture, and choices. One who believes in success walks differently, speaks differently, and radiates a quiet confidence. Others respond unconsciously to that vibration. Opportunities gather around conviction as metal to a magnet. Belief does not need to persuade, it attracts. When you are certain within, the world complies without. Many seek to change their conditions while keeping their old beliefs. They attempt to build a new house on the same foundation. But belief is the soil from which all manifestations grow. To plant new seeds in old soil is to guarantee the old weeds will return. Therefore, uproot the belief in limitation, fear, and separation. Replace it with the conviction that life is abundant, that you are worthy, that all things are possible to the consciousness that believes. When that belief becomes dominant, the outer world must bear witness to it. This principle extends to all realms: health, relationships, career, and destiny. The one who believes in harmony attracts harmonious people. The one who believes in vitality radiates health. The one who believes in failure invites it unconsciously. Belief is the creative lens through which the infinite becomes particular. Change the lens, and the image must alter. The power of belief is the power of alignment with truth. You do not force life to obey you. You align your conviction with the nature of reality, which is always abundant, intelligent, and responsive. The moment you accept this as true, life begins to echo it. Even small shifts in belief produce visible transformations, for the world is a faithful mirror. Therefore, guard belief as you would guard treasure. It is the seed of your every tomorrow. Question every assumption that produces fear or lack, for such beliefs are false. Replace them with beliefs rooted in love, freedom, and possibility. What you dare to believe about yourself determines what you will experience in the world. The law is exact: belief shapes experience, And experience, in turn, confirms belief. When you understand this circle, you stand at the doorway of conscious creation, where faith becomes fact and imagination becomes life. Imagination creates reality, not effort. This is the law behind all manifestation, the secret rhythm by which the unseen becomes seen. The world applauds effort, praises struggle, and glorifies the idea that labor alone builds destiny. Yet if one observes deeply, it becomes clear that effort is the echo, not the cause. The true cause of all experience lies in imagination, the inner vision accepted as fact. Effort may move the hands, but imagination moves the world. What you hold in imagination with feeling and conviction must one day appear in form, for imagination is the womb of creation, and all visible things are born from its invisible thought. The mind trained only by reason finds this difficult to accept. It wants to see results before believing, to push and plan its way through life. But imagination operates on a higher law, a divine order that precedes logic and transcends human struggle. When you imagine an outcome and feel it real, you have already set the creative process in motion. The universe takes that inner pattern as command and arranges events to match it. The path may appear effortless, for all effort is replaced by alignment. You are not forcing reality, you are allowing it to unfold according to the image impressed upon consciousness. The illusion of effort arises from forgetfulness. Humanity has forgotten that the outer world is an effect, not a cause. People try to change effects while leaving causes untouched, pushing against circumstances rather than transforming their inner imagery. They toil to earn what they could simply assume. They strive to impress others instead of impressing their own subconscious. And so they grow weary, for effort without imagination is labor without creation, endless movement with no transformation. Imagination is not fantasy, it is the creative faculty of consciousness itself. Every building, invention, poem, and discovery began as an image within someone's mind. The architect imagines the structure before the first brick is laid. The musician hears the melody before the note is played. The successful person feels the triumph before the result appears. The outer achievement is merely the unfolding of the inner vision. When you understand this, you no longer chase outcomes. You turn inward, where all outcomes originate. It is not effort that brings manifestation, but feeling. When you imagine your desire fulfilled and feel it as real, the work is done. The outer actions that follow are not forced, they are inspired. They arise naturally, as the path of least resistance to your vision. You may appear to act, but the true work is inward. The act of imagining is the planting of the seed. The harvest of experience is the inevitable growth of that seed. To struggle for what you have already imagined is to dig up the seed before it bears fruit. There was a time when I worked tirelessly toward a goal, believing that success would come only through persistence in action. Yet the harder I pushed, the further the goal seemed to retreat. Fatigue replaced faith, and frustration clouded clarity. Then came a night of realization that I had been laboring in the wrong vineyard. I had been trying to compel the outer world without first securing the inner state. That night I turned within. I imagined the goal accomplished, not in the future but now. I saw it, felt it, lived it inwardly. A deep calm replaced the struggle. In the days that followed, opportunities appeared effortlessly. Circumstances shifted without force. The result I had strained for came smoothly, almost playfully, as if life itself had been waiting for my inner permission to deliver it. This is how imagination works. It is the silent architect of destiny. The one who knows this law ceases to fight against appearances. They understand that what is seen today was imagined yesterday, and what will be seen tomorrow must be imagined today. The outer world cannot resist the inner pattern, it is its reflection. When you know this, you give your energy to the unseen cause rather than the seen effect. You cease to exhaust yourself in action and begin to rest in the certainty of creation already accomplished in consciousness. Effort belongs to the world of doing. Imagination belongs to the world of being. Doing is the shadow, being is the source. When you act from the awareness of having already received, your actions are efficient, graceful, and inspired. When you act from the belief of lack, your actions are scattered, desperate, and exhausting. The difference lies not in what you do, but in the state from which you do it. A single act from the feeling of fulfillment is worth more than 1,000 acts born of anxiety. The untrained mind believes that imagination is weak because it cannot yet see its results. But imagination is the first cause of everything. Even in your smallest moments, it is operating. When you expect disappointment, you imagine it. When you anticipate joy, you imagine it. And both are fulfilled according to faith. The world is a mirror faithfully reflecting your inner imagery. To change your life, you must first change the picture you hold. It is essential to understand that imagination is not idle dreaming. It is deliberate creation. You are meant to direct it, not drift in it. Close your eyes and picture the life you desire. Feel the sensations it would bring, the peace, the gratitude, the excitement. Do not concern yourself with how it will happen, though how is not your department. Your task is to hold the end as real and to live from that state inwardly until it becomes your natural feeling. The law of imagination will take care of the means. Every achievement, every transformation, every miracle recorded in the history of humankind has followed this pattern. The imagination conceives, the feeling sustains, and the world performs. The secret lies not in effort, but in acceptance. The acceptance that your inner image is reality itself, awaiting expression. When you truly feel that it is done, you will find yourself in the flow of life where everything moves with ease. The right people appear, the right circumstances unfold, and what once seemed difficult becomes effortless. True power is quiet. It does not shout, struggle, or strain. It knows that creation is finished in the realm of imagination and simply awaits its appointed hour of manifestation. When you live by this principle, you are no longer a laborer in the field of chance. You are the master craftsman shaping the unseen. You work not harder but higher, in consciousness. You do not fight the storm, you rise above it, and from that elevated state all things are added unto you. Imagination creates reality, not effort. The outer world follows the rhythm of the inner image. To imagine is to create, to feel is to command, and to rest in the assumption is to allow the universe to move. This is the effortless art of divine creation, where imagination replaces struggle, and the unseen power within reveals itself as the author of all that is visible. The universe responds to identity, not desire. This is one of the most profound truths of life, yet it remains hidden to those who live as beggars before their own creation. You do not attract what you wish for, you attract what you are. The world mirrors the state of your being, not your words, not your wants, but the silent conviction of who you believe yourself to be. Every condition, relationship, and circumstance in your experience is a reflection of your assumed identity. To change the reflection, you must first change the self that beholds it. Desire is the spark that ignites movement, but it is identity that sustains creation. Many hold vivid desires but remain bound to an old concept of self that contradicts them. They wish for abundance while inwardly believing themselves to be poor, long for love while identifying as unworthy, seek peace while holding the image of conflict. The law of life cannot contradict itself. The outer world cannot express what the inner world denies. Until you become in consciousness the one who possesses what you seek, desire remains an echo without fulfillment. The creative law is simple. The world treats you according to the way you treat yourself in consciousness. The universe hears not your pleas but your posture of being. You may declare, "I am prosperous." Yet if deep within you still dwell in the feeling of lack, your vibration declares the opposite. The divine law reads that vibration and says, "So be it." Identity is the signal, reality is the echo. The moment you shift your self-concept, life rearranges to mirror that shift. The moment you embody the identity of your wish fulfilled, the outer world responds in kind. Every transformation begins with a change in self-image. The person who continually fails may set new goals, read new books, or take new actions. But unless they assume the identity of success, they repeat the same cycle under a different name. The one who feels small cannot hold greatness, for their inner state will unconsciously sabotage every attempt to rise. The self-image is the blueprint of experience. Whatever you believe yourself to be, you will prove yourself to be, for life will conspire to make your belief visible. You can witness this principle in every area of human life. Two people may face the same opportunity. One prospers, the other falters. The difference is not in luck, but in self-concept. The one who identifies as capable walks through the door. The one who identifies as unworthy hesitates until the door closes. The universe offers according to faith in self, and that faith is nothing more than the acceptance of a new identity. You do not earn new conditions, you awaken to them by becoming internally compatible with them. Identity is not a mask you wear, but a state of consciousness you inhabit. To assume a new identity is not to pretend, but to perceive differently. The poor man who assumes wealth in consciousness is not deluding himself. He is stepping into a truer version of being that was always possible. Consciousness contains all states: health, wealth, joy, love, and you move from one to another by inner acceptance, not by external effort. The moment you identify with a higher state, the lower dissolves. You do not fight darkness, you become light, and darkness vanishes. There was once a time when I lived with a sense of limitation. I desired more, not merely possessions, but freedom, expression, expansion. Yet no matter how I tried, the outer world resisted. I prayed for change, worked harder, sought advice, but the results remained the same. Then, in quiet reflection, I saw the truth. I was trying to live a new life while carrying the same identity. I still thought of myself as one who lacked, who struggled, who hoped. That night, I changed direction inwardly. I asked, who would I be if I already had all that I desired? And in imagination, I felt that self, calm, assured, fulfilled. I began to walk as that person, think as that person, respond as that person. I did not act a part, I became it inwardly. Within days, the world began to shift. People, opportunities, and circumstances appeared that matched the new state I had accepted. Nothing outside had changed. First, I had changed, and the world obeyed. This is the educational heart of the law. The universe mirrors your being, not your striving. To desire is to acknowledge separation. To identify is to declare unity. The moment you identify as already possessing what you seek, you collapse the distance between wanting and having. You cease to pursue and begin to express. Desire transformed into identity becomes power. The beggar becomes the king, not because he receives a throne, but because he recognizes he was royal all along. Identity operates through feeling. To assume a state is to feel it as natural, effortless, familiar. You cannot merely affirm, I am abundant. While feeling poor, the feeling must agree with the statement. When the feeling and the belief align, the assumption becomes real. This is the art of creation. To live inwardly as the person you wish to outwardly appear to be. Every great change in life comes when this alignment is achieved. The world of appearances is fluid and obedient. It cannot resist the conviction of identity. When you know who you are, the world must confirm it. The one who knows he is loved sees love reflected in every face. The one who knows he is guided finds the path illuminated. The one who knows he is free walks unharmed through conditions that enslave others. The outer world is a projection of inner being, and that being is defined by your self-concept. To live consciously, therefore, is to choose your identity deliberately. Observe the inner stories you tell. Each time you say, I am always late, I never have enough, people don't understand me, you reaffirm an identity that perpetuates those experiences. Replace them with higher truths. I am punctual and prepared. I live in plenty. I am understood and valued. Say them not as mere words, but as living facts of consciousness. Feel their reality. When these statements become natural to you, the outer must conform. The secret is consistency. Identity reveals itself through repetition of feeling. The more you dwell in the awareness of your desired self, the more that state solidifies. The outer changes follow as shadows follow form. You are never waiting for manifestation, you are waiting for alignment. The alignment of self with truth. Once you believe you are what you desire, the world no longer withholds it, for the universe cannot deny its own reflection. The law is perfect in its simplicity. You do not get what you want, you get what you are. To change your world, change your identity. To change your identity, change your feeling. Stand each day as the embodiment of your fulfilled desire, not as one reaching for it, but as one radiating it. The universe will respond, for it always does, faithfully mirroring the being you assume to be. Every night is a new creation. The world you awaken to each morning is the echo of the thoughts, feelings, and assumptions you carried into sleep. Sleep is not a mere rest of the body. It is the doorway between the seen and the unseen, between the conscious craftsman and the subconscious builder. The outer world is shaped in the stillness of night. For the subconscious mind, the creative womb of all experience, works ceaselessly, molding the impressions received during your waking hours into tomorrow's reality. When you understand this law, you will no longer drift into sleep as a wanderer of thought, but as a deliberate creator who plants the seeds of destiny before surrendering to rest. In the silence of night, your consciousness detaches from the outer world. The senses grow quiet, the body slows, and awareness turns inward. It is in this sacred stillness that imagination gains its full authority. Whatever state you occupy in the moments before sleep, whether of joy, fear, lack, or fulfillment, becomes the command issued to the creative power within. The subconscious receives this command without argument and reproduces it faithfully in the events and circumstances of your life. Thus, the wise use the final moments of waking not in worry or idle thought, but in the assumption of their wish fulfilled. Each night offers a new beginning. No matter the mistakes of the day, the defeats, or the disappointments, when you close your eyes, you hold in your hands the power to rewrite your story. The past has no hold in sleep. It dissolves in the timeless space of imagination. If you have lived in fear, you can enter sleep in faith. If you have faced rejection, you can fall asleep feeling loved. The world you awaken to will mirror the state you accepted in the darkness. Every new dawn is the outpicturing of last night's dream, whether you dreamed consciously or unconsciously. Most people enter sleep burdened by the weight of the day. They replay their troubles, magnify their failures, and let fear write the script for tomorrow. Unaware of their creative role, they allow negative emotions to impress the subconscious mind, and life obediently reflects their careless sowing. They wake to the same struggles, unaware that they are only reaping their own inner harvest. Education in this law begins with awareness, the awareness that you are never a passive participant in creation. The moment before sleep is your workshop, your temple, your creative field. Use it with intention, and you will watch your world transform. The secret lies in assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled before you surrender to the depth of sleep. Picture in your mind a scene that implies your desire is already realized. It need not be complex. A single vivid moment is enough. A handshake after success, a word of gratitude, the joy of receiving news long awaited. Then breathe deeply and let the feeling of satisfaction fill your entire being. The more natural this feeling becomes, the more powerfully it imprints upon the subconscious. Fall asleep in that state, and you will awaken into its reflection. There was a time when I struggled with uncertainty, torn between faith and fear. I would go to bed anxious, replaying what had gone wrong, expecting little from the day ahead. My mornings mirrored my nights, heavy, restless, uninspired. Then one evening, I decided to experiment with this truth. I chose a single desire, simple but dear, and as I lay in bed, I imagined it fulfilled. I felt the relief, the gratitude, the quiet assurance of success. I did not force the image. I allowed it to become natural, as though it had always been true. I drifted into sleep in that feeling. When morning came, the anxiety was gone, replaced by a deep peace I could not explain. In the days that followed, events unfolded smoothly, and what I had imagined materialized effortlessly. It was then I learned that sleep is not the end of consciousness. It is its beginning in creation. When you grasp this principle, you will see that life offers a new opportunity every night. You no longer carry the burdens of today into tomorrow. Instead, you renew yourself through deliberate assumption. Each night, you die to the old self and are reborn as the new. The character you play in the world is written in the stillness of slumber. If you sleep in the feeling of failure, you awaken to another day of defeat. If you sleep in the feeling of accomplishment, you awaken to a world that supports that accomplishment. The outer world is faithful to the inner one. This is why it is said that faith is the substance of things hoped for. Sleep is the time when that faith is cemented into substance. In the silence between waking and sleeping, Your consciousness bridges the gap between desire and fulfillment. What you impress upon your mind in that sacred interval becomes the mold for tomorrow's experience. The world does not resist your dreams, it reflects them. If you would change your future, change the state in which you fall asleep tonight. The beauty of this law is its simplicity. You need not force the subconscious, it is infinitely obedient. It takes your final waking mood as instruction. If you go to sleep defeated, it assumes that state and builds accordingly. If you go to sleep fulfilled, it accepts that as fact and manifests it. The subconscious does not choose, it creates. Your task is to choose the feeling that you wish to perpetuate. Fall asleep as one who already has what they desire, and the creative power within you will take that assumption and externalize it in perfect order. Even a few nights of this conscious practice can transform a life. You will find yourself calmer, more assured, and strangely guided by invisible hands. Coincidences will appear. Timely conversations, unexpected opportunities, peaceful resolutions. All the natural consequences of your nightly assumptions. This is not magic but law. The unseen becomes seen through the consistent planting of belief in the soil of sleep. Never underestimate the creative silence of night. The world of day is noisy with effort, planning and resistance, but the world of night is open, receptive and divine. When the conscious mind rests, the subconscious is free to work. You need only give it a clear instruction wrapped in the feeling of certainty. That instruction is the state you occupy as you drift into slumber. Guard that moment carefully, for it is the passageway through which all creation flows. Every night is a new creation. The day's experiences fade, but your inner state endures. The universe waits, attentive to your final thought, your last feeling before you surrender to sleep. That feeling is the blueprint for your tomorrow. If you would live differently, dream differently. If you would change your world, close your eyes tonight and imagine yourself already there. Not reaching, not hoping, but being. Drift into that beingness and let the unseen architect within you bring it forth in its appointed hour. For in the quiet of night, you are shaping the dawn yet to come, crafting your world anew with the silent power of your imagination. All that has been spoken returns to one simple truth. You are the creator of your own experience. The universe does not act upon you, it acts through you. Every image held in imagination, every feeling sustained with faith, every assumption persisted in quietly shapes the world you see. What you have heard in these words is not philosophy for contemplation, but instruction for transformation. You were never born to chase abundance, peace, or love. You were born to express them, for they dwell within your own consciousness, awaiting recognition. The laws of creation are unchanging. Imagination is the power, feeling is the key, assumption is the path, identity is the foundation. Each night you enter the workshop of sleep, where the unseen molds the visible. Each belief you accept becomes the structure of tomorrow. You are never a victim of circumstance, you are the author of circumstance. When this truth is realized, struggle fades and certainty dawns. Life ceases to be something that happens to you and becomes something that unfolds from you. The world mirrors what you dare to claim as true. To see abundance, assume abundance. To live in peace, feel peace. To attract love, become love. The universe cannot resist the conviction of a soul that knows itself. All that you seek already exists, awaiting only your acceptance. There is no distance between you and your desire, only the illusion of separation created by disbelief. So tonight and every night hereafter, remember that creation begins within. Withdraw from the noise of the outer world and turn inward to the stillness where all things are possible. Imagine nobly, feel deeply, and rest in the assurance that what is imagined with conviction will find its way into form. For you are the living proof of divine imagination. The very power that spoke the worlds into being now breathes and dreams through you. Go forward then, not as one who hopes, but as one who knows. Speak your word in silence, feel it real, and walk as though it were already accomplished. The universe, hearing only the language of your belief, will respond in perfect order. For the law is eternal, the promise unbroken, as within, so without, as you assume, so shall it be.